Welcome back, everyone. This is Griot of the Diaspora, and I'm your host, Nakaira G. And today I am going to break down the pros and cons of luxury real estate in Ghana. So, hopefully, you have seen my video talking about pros and cons of living in Ghana. And I also made a video with a breakdown of what housing is like, what rent is like, cost of living as well. And so I did that video sometime last year. So I want to make an update to both of those videos. And so basically in this video, we're going to talk about the luxury real estate market in Ghana for people who are looking to come to Ghana this year or next year. This video would definitely help you kind of decide what it is that you want, what would work for you, what type of lifestyle are you looking for, and it can also help you if you are not in the country currently and you are talking to different people and looking at different prices for things. Hopefully this video can basically help you make that decision. So I'm gonna talk about there's about 10 different things that I'll talk about, and like I said, make sure you watch those other two videos so you can just get an idea of what living in Ghana is like, what those different expectations are, and then this video can definitely help you make some better ideas. So let's talk about luxury real estate. Okay, so if you are coming from the West, most likely your idea of luxury is going to be at a certain standard. There's going to be certain amenities that you might be accustomed to. And so in Ghana, those things can vary, right? So for instance, there should not be any businesses, pricing in dollars, but there are. And a lot of the housing options that have been taking place for the past couple years, a lot of the housing have now started pricing in dollars. And that is pushing out a lot of the locals that live in that area or who are from that area or who have migrated to that area. It's starting to push people out. And so now you have a lot of local apartments and landlords and agents who are hiking up the prices, hoping that some diasporans, some foreigners will move in, right? So that is one thing. And so if you are looking to come to Ghana and you have like a family or you're a couple and you're looking to come to Ghana, you definitely want to have an idea of like, what type of living situation do you want to be in? What things do you need to be close by, and things like that. So let's break that down. So the first thing is understanding the cost. So like I said, you have some people that are charging in dollars, and then you have some people that are charging in cedis, which is the Ghana currency. And so usually, and one thing that you want to look out for is usually when people are pricing in dollars, it's usually a furnished apartment. So you want to make sure that you have an idea of what furnished means in terms of your kitchen, in terms of ceiling fans, in terms of AC, in terms of furniture. You want to make sure that it's furnished to your particular standard. And more than likely, you will be able to also bring in things that you might want or might need that are specific. So you want to make sure that you look at a variety of different apartments to see what they offer, because it's very different in Ghana. It's not like a particular standard across the board. One place may offer you a washing machine for a certain price, and another place may not offer you a washing machine at the same price or higher, right? So you want to make sure that you get an idea of what comes with the price that you are paying. Real quick, y'all, make sure you download my new ebook. It is a travel planner and journal. I made this about a year and a half ago, and it's really, really cool. There are 10 different entries. So as you are on your travel journeys, make sure you download this ebook. It's only $10 and you can get it on my website today at nakedgoldonline.com. You can download it, you can print it, whatever works for you. Make sure you cop that today. Like I said, even though it is technically illegal to charge in dollars, there are landlords and agents that are charging in dollars. So you want to make sure that you get what you're paying for, and also look around to make sure that you're not paying too much. And usually if it is charged in Ghana cedis, most of the time it is unfurnished. And when it's unfurnished, that could mean no ceiling fan, no kitchen appliances, no furniture, no anything. It's a completely empty apartment, okay? So number 2, so depending on what type of living situation you want to live in, if you are looking to live in the city and you want to live like in Accra, the lack of green space can be an issue. If you are somebody who want to live, where there's a lot of greenery and things like that, Maine and proper Accra, it's not like that right now. So sometimes it will be like that, like within your compound, within your estate, there will be trees and bushes and things like that. But you want to make sure that you get some time to actually go view the apartment or the house that you're looking at. Some of the architectural landscapes and the designs for the luxury homes, like if you're looking for a home that's $100,000 or $50,000, sometimes they will submit the entire, front yard area, and some people don't like that. Some people would prefer to have it landscaped and just have, a pathway and have the rest be a garden space. So those are things that you would definitely have to compromise. If you are looking to live in like the luxury apartments, where you have a balcony and maybe there's a pool in the complex, most of the times those places aren't going to be major green spaces. You might have some grass and some plants on the balcony, like I said, but it might not be like a major green space. But once you get out of your apartment building, I'm pretty sure you can get that greenery that you might want. Okay, so number 3. When you are choosing a location, and whether you're choosing a location for your hotel, your Airbnb, your apartment, or your house, you want to see how close it is to the main road. So for people who are not in Ghana and have not been to Ghana, understanding the main roads in the different areas of Accra is really important. Knowing the names of the road, knowing the names of the towns that you're going to, it is really important. Sometimes people are just like, I'm in Accra, but they don't know where they are. They don't know if they're in Laboni, Cantonments, Osu, Kokolimle, Latabia Kershi. Like they don't know where they are, and so knowing like your directions, knowing your geographical placement in Accra and where you want to be is really important, because depending on where you live, and if you don't have a car, you could live 20-30 minutes away from the main road that gets you up and through Accra, quickly. So you want to make sure, if you are talking to any agents, or if you're looking at houses or apartments from abroad, you want to see and you want to check on Google Maps yourself, but you also want to ask the agents that, and ask them what is the mode of transportation in that area that gets people to the main road. Because the way that Ghana is set up for the most part, particularly Accra, depending on where you live, there's always some type of mode of transportation for you to get from whatever that area is to a main road, whether it's a shared taxi or an Uber or Trotro or whatever. There's usually a plan, because most people work in the city. So there's usually some type of pathway for you to get from the neighborhood that you're in to the nearest junction or the nearest main road. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind when you're choosing your location, whether Airbnb you're visiting or when you are coming to move here. Okay, so number 4, amenities or lack of amenities. So when it comes to luxury real estate can be a luxury apartment, it can be a luxury townhome or condo, it can be a luxury beach property, it can mean a luxury hilltop property. It can mean so many things, right? So, depending on where you are purchasing your property or renting your property, if you are in a luxury apartment, you might not have as many amenities as you want, but usually, if you live in a very foreign populated area, there's usually going to be amenities around you. So you want to ask, and you want to visit as well. I always advise for you to visit for some time, stay in an Airbnb or a hotel, and spend a couple months going around to the different areas of Accra so that you get an idea of what it's like to walk up and down these streets or drive down certain streets and what it's like to be in certain areas. So, when it comes to amenities, if you are somebody that wants a coffee shop nearby, you want a gym, you want a pool, you want the grocery store close by. Let's say you don't have a car and you want to, you want to be somewhere where things are accessible. That is something that you have to make sure to ask, like I said, your agent or the landlord that is selling you this property, or when you come to Ghana and you spend time in Accra, you want to make sure that you spend time going through the neighborhood to see what's nearby. Like I said, use Google Maps so that you can see what is close by in terms of hospitals, gyms, smoothie places, coffee shops, and things like that. And also, there's a lot of apartment complexes that have cafes at the bottom. They have grocery stores, so you want to. I know what I've noticed with a lot of people when I watch either videos or really just a lot of people that I meet here in Ghana, a lot of people end up moving to a place that was like their first choice. And a lot of people don't go through a process of going to look at different places to live. And sometimes, depending on if you just know one person, you kind of just end up trusting what that one person tells you. But there are so many different ways for you to find housing here, and there's different prices. So you want to make sure, like, you want to have an idea of what it is that you want and what price point or budget that you have, because you can, like I said earlier, you can live in an apartment that has a pool, that is gated, that has security, but then that might be it, right? And but you might want a gym nearby. So you want to make sure that when you're looking on Google Maps or when you're asking questions, you have an idea of what's nearby too. Okay, so number 5, location and cultural understandings. So one of the things that I see a lot of people complain about, particularly in like different Facebook diaspora groups, and just like in the different WhatsApp group chats, the reality of Ghana is that a lot of times the rich will live within close proximity to the poor. So there would be a mansion or a big house, and then right next door to it will be like nothing, or it will be a shanty and like a wooden or metal small kiosk type of structure. And if it's an area that is developing, then you will have a lot of construction nearby. And then if you have an estate, if you're living in like an estate, or which is a gated community to most of us in the West, what is called an estate here is a gated community. And that gated community could be 6 houses or it could be 30, right? So if you live within an estate, your estate might have all these different amenities for the people and the residents that live there. It might have a paved road and things like that. But it is very likely for you to come outside of your estate and there's no other estate next to you, or the rest of the houses are, it's obviously not to the same level of that estate. So you want to kind of get prepared and ready for that reality, because I think sometimes, especially with photos and videos and things like that, you can get the impression that, if you're living in this luxury space, then everything else around you is going to be quote unquote luxury. And that's not necessarily true for a majority of the country. So if that's something that like you're uncomfortable with, or something that you're just not aware of, that's something to just think about as well. Whether you have children or you have cars, or there's certain things that you have, you want to make sure that you're living in an area where the close proximity of it is within the same class or tax bracket. Otherwise, I'm just going to be honest, there's other challenges that you could be facing if you live in an apartment, let's say that's smack dab in the middle of a village, or it's the only, proper building in the area, and everything else around it are shanties or things like that. Then for some people, it can be quite uncomfortable, and you can deal with different safety issues, right? So, number 6, let's talk about investment versus housing. A lot of the real estate market right now in Ghana is being marketed as an investment opportunity, an opportunity for people to make money and rent out these homes, and do that whole thing, right? But then for other people, the actual consumers of the real estate market, right, are looking for housing. For the most part, people who are coming to Ghana right now, they're looking to relocate from the West, and they're looking to come here to Ghana to live. So there's a difference between having an investment property for people who are coming for short term, coming for vacation, for people who are coming for December. But then there's the other people who are looking to come here to live. And so I think that a lot of people are looking at Ghana as an opportunity to do investments, whether in real estate or business and things like that. But also just kind of keep in mind that there's also a housing crisis happening in Ghana as well, where there are still a lot of people who are not being housed, as well as there are a lot of abandoned housing, a lot of abandoned houses here, because of the high prices and not meeting such a demand. And then you have the issue of people not being able to afford to live in the main parts of Accra, as well as the foreign population that is expected to come here, not just the diaspora, but non-diaspora, Indians and Lebanese and other Europeans that are still planning to come here in Ghana. Those people are also expected to fill up a lot of the housing here. So you just kind of want to keep in mind that, there's people who are doing marketing for real estate investment, and that can be different from people who are doing real estate marketing to help people find housing and relocate. Those entities are not always the same person. So your agent, or the person that's trying to sell you a house, or help you rent out their property, those are not going to be the same people that will help you relocate and take your whole life from wherever you're coming from over here. So you want to make sure that you still have some type of support and community when it comes to getting your housing together and making sure that it's legitimate. Okay, so number 7. Okay, so I want to talk about the concept of living within predominantly foreign complexes and communities here in Ghana. So there are a lot of different housing options here. There's the option of living in an estate, which is like a gated community. Some of those estates can be a gated community without security per se, and then some of them are gated communities with security. That could mean locking the gate at a certain time of night, having a security guard on staff. And for some, that could just mean an area, and there's not necessarily like a security person at the gate. But with a lot of the foreign and predominantly, middle class or upper class luxury apartments here and luxury complexes here in Ghana, mostly in Accra. Um, those options are available. So if you do not necessarily want to live amongst the community and you are still getting to know Ghana and you're still getting to know the different, safety precautions and cultural precautions, there are options for that. Now, those options will most likely be quite expensive in the range of $1,000 to $2,000. Those luxury spaces are usually, places that have a lot of amenities in that building. So you can have a pool, you can have, balcony, grocery store, cafe, gym, all of those things. As you get acclimated to the area, it's kind of like they are starting to build a lot of these hotel apartment type of complexes. So there are different, apartment styles that can be a studio or 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, but it's in a luxury apartment. So there are options for that if you want to live within a, foreigner, international, expat type of area. I will say the African diaspora is quite like dispersed. There's not necessarily like a diaspora community in the city. You have a lot of these different people who are trying to build like villages or diaspora villages or Pan-African villages outside of the city. And usually those locations are like 2 to 3 to 4 hours outside of Accra. So what I'm talking about is within the city life, complexes and gated communities and luxury apartments. So if that is something that you are looking for, that is an option. So like I said before, you want to make sure that you do research on actual apartment complexes that are in Ghana. You want to go to their websites and you want to like actually inquire directly, because a lot of times the real estate agents here are usually working with independent, landlords. So if you're looking for like the luxury space where you can go and get to the pool and all of that, then you want to hit those apartment complexes and those real estate developers directly, and then you will speak to their offices and their particular agents that work with their company. Otherwise, you would be working with like local agents who are dealing with independent landlords who are trying to rent out their properties and things like that. A lot of Accra still deal with electricity issues and power issues. So it is very common for the electricity to go off, right? But you will have certain complexes who have generators, who have, power sources, solar panels, and things like that. And then there are other things that you can provide yourself as well, like surge protectors and surge boxes that you could use for your bigger appliances that take a lot of watts or volts or whatever that is, right? But so on top of whatever you're paying for rent, and all of that, you also want to keep in mind and make sure that the apartments that you are looking at or the houses that you guys are looking at, make sure that they have generator options. Like if you're doing a luxury apartment, most likely they have generator options. Most people I know who live in those luxury apartments, when the power goes out, it comes right back on within 2 minutes because of the generator. But if you are living in like a house and you're living in, you dealt with an independent property developer, and most likely there's not going to be a generator that's going to be a part of what you're paying for. So those are things that you want to keep in mind, because you can end up buying $100,000 house here and it won't come with a generator, it won't come with solar panels, it won't come with a borehole. And so some developers do that and some developers don't. So you want to make sure that you have an idea of that. So that's for electricity. So let's talk about water. So with water, you want to make sure that if you are doing a luxury apartment, more than likely with the price that you're paying, your water is going to be included within that price. And so if you are living in an apartment, I'm pretty sure that you're not going to have to deal with the water directly, and you will be able to just pay your monthly fee, and the water will always be on. More than likely, you should have hot and cold water. Please understand that hot water is considered a luxury in Ghana. That is not a standard, okay? So again, that's something that you want to ask for. Also with water, so if you are living in a luxury home, if you are living in a Brie, or you're living in Volta, or you're living in Proper Accra or Cape Coast or whatever, if you are living in a house, then you are most likely going to be responsible for your water. And again, you want to make sure that you ask them about the water source, because a lot of houses do not come with boreholes. Some do, some do not. So you want to make sure that you have a water source. If it is your responsibility to get your water source, then that's when you should inquire about a borehole, and also get an idea of what the neighboring what your neighbors are thinking. And that also comes back to the earlier point that I made about making sure that you live in an area where you can tell the class tax bracket is within the same realm. Because when you buy a house here or you rent out a house here, there are things that people will expect you to be responsible for, like building a road, like helping with water and things like that. So you want to make sure that with what you're paying for, what comes with it, how do you get your water? Because for a lot of us, like for myself, I have to get water delivered. So when I run out of water, I have to have somebody come bring me water to fill up my poly tank, which is 1,000 liters. You can get bigger poly tanks. You can get more than one. Some of my neighbors have 3. I have 1 because it's just me here. So water can be something that you have to pay for some people once a week, for some people once a month, for some people twice a month. So those are things that you want to keep in mind. I know a lot of people who live in big old houses, way bigger than mine, and they have the same water issue as me. They got to call somebody every other week for somebody to bring them water. Luckily for me, I only fill my water like once a month, if anything twice a month, but really once, especially if I'm out traveling and I'm not really home. So for me, water is not that big of a deal. But if you're coming with like a family and it's more than just one person, water will run out fairly quickly. And so that is something that for a lot of people who live in the houses, like I said, some developers will have a borehole and you won't have to deal with that. That's the kind of like luxury when you have a borehole. But if you don't have a borehole and you have to rely on Ghana water and you have to rely on getting water delivered to you, then keep that in mind with the things that you are trying to price out with your budget. So that is it. So I hope that this is helpful for people who are looking to come to Ghana. I feel like I see messages every day of people that are planning to come to Ghana, and people are asking, how much is this? How much is that? So hopefully this video does that. If you don't know, I sell a travel planner and journal, and I also do travel consultations to Ghana. I do not necessarily do relocation services. What I do with my travel consultations is I answer any questions that you might have. If there's certain questions that you want to know about culture and society, if there's questions you want to know about renting and locations and how to choose locations for where you want to stay, if you need help with your itinerary, if you need help with finding an Airbnb and finding somewhere to stay, and rental cars and all of those types of things, those are things that I can help you with. And I can also help you with learning about the different organizations and websites and resources on how to do your permits and all of those other things and immigration services. And I will just more so direct you to how to do it. But I do not work with any organizations that do that particular thing, but I will let you know which organizations you can use. So if all of those things are helpful to you, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe and comment, and I hope this video you found helpful. Till next time.